Hello, I'm Kevin Sylvester, and please have Gordon Craig from Sterngold Dental here with me. Gordon, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Kevin.
Why don't you tell us a little about Sterngold Dental, what it is you folks do?
So Sterngold Dental is a manufacturing company for dental implants and attachments. We focus on restorative dentistry. Company was started in 1897, so we just celebrated our 125th year in business last year. So it's one of the oldest dental companies still in existence in the United States.
I imagine the materials you use in restorative dentistry to make those have changed over the years from 1897 to 2023.
Yeah. Hence the name, right? Sterngold. So in the early days, precious metals were widely used in dentistry. And many dental companies have ties to jewelry companies, because the same way you cast a ring, it was the same way you cast a crown with the same materials. And so a lot of jewelry companies started dental divisions. And then over the years, advancements in technology, innovation, changing from gold crowns to attachments to more aesthetics. So now porcelains are used, zirconia is used, because people would rather have a white, natural-looking tooth rather than a gold tooth as a restorative replacement.
Well, we talked about the old gold and silver teeth here. Mini implants are the latest and greatest. These are great products here. And you are part of an exciting new program, a Mini Implant Mentor. Tell me what that means to you.
Yeah, so really the Mentor program is a consortium of businesses that have gotten together to advance dentistry. So we have Sterngold as the manufacturer of the mini dental implants. Maxilla Marketing provides advancements for dental practices, helps dental practices with their KPIs and their growth. And then Evolution Dental, which is the laboratory. So we all work in concert together to provide knowledge exchange and education for the mentees that are part of the mentorship program. The industry has changed. Many dental schools have cut back, budget cuts, programs have been reduced. The dental students coming out of school have a much less advanced education, believe it or not, because of the budget cuts. So when they come out of school, particularly around learning implants, that resorts back to the private companies that are in the industry. So we pick up where the dental schools leave off. And what we're trying to do is raise the standard of care for patients so that no one should have an ill-fitting denture. No more pastes, powders, or tapes. We want to be able to have that patient securely snap their denture in. I've got a model here that shows that. And instead of using pastes and powders and tapes multiple times a day, which irritates soft tissue, it's uncomfortable, the patients can actually take their dentures and snap them into the mouth. And the biggest thing about the mini dental implants is that they're affordable and they're accessible to virtually every American. So we're looking to raise that standard of care to make sure that every patient who has a denture can get mini dental implant therapy and change their life. Get back to living their life, laughing, eating foods. Everything is systemic. So the oral cavity provides the gateway for your overall health. And if you have limited biting force and inability to chew, your diet is going to shift to a soft diet. You won't have the ability to get the proper nutrients that you need. So, and then there's a psychological aspect too. You'll see many people that have dentures. They will put a finger here when they're talking. They will clench a little bit, not sort of open their face up and smile because they're concerned that their dentures will shift or even come dislodged.
Yeah, we've all been around somebody where that's occurred, and we feel uncomfortable for them.
That's right.
Yeah, when it happens. On the Mini Implant Mentor side, I could sense the excitement you have about this group coming together to help dentists help people. And this is something unique and sounds like it hasn't been done before.
Not to this level. It's a complete coverage of really all modalities. So we're bringing all the best of breed together, and this mentorship is accessible to any dentist in the United States.
Yeah, it's something great that they'll want to be a part of. Let's talk about changes in the implant industry. Are there some changes you'd like to see occur?
Well, certainly digital is impacting our industry significantly. It started really heavily about 10 years ago, but prior to that, dentistry moved very slowly. It was very stable. It was very predictable. Now digital is coming in, and there's a lot of benefits that come with it, but it's accelerating dentistry even faster. The changes are happening more quickly. The advancements in that digital technology, whether it be scanners, CAD CAM, software, it's just like your phone in your pocket. Every year and a half, everything's advanced. It's obsolete. So there's a challenge happening for dentists and dental laboratories and even manufacturers like ourselves to stay current. So that is really changing and accelerating the way that advancements are coming into the dental industry.
Is that something to embrace, or is that something to be tread lightly, I guess, weary of all this rapid change?
Yeah, I think it's a little of both. I think it's helping, and in many cases, for smaller individual practices that don't have a lot of capital reserves to invest in this high cost technology, having them keep up with the advancements in the ever changing technology is a little bit of a struggle for them. So we're seeing more outsourcing. So rather than offices having to do everything themselves, this consortium of Sterngold, Evolution, and Maxilla brings not only knowledge and education, but also functional aspects that the dentist can outsource to us, to the lab, to the manufacturer. So we support them with advancements in our products to help them do their job better.
You mentioned earlier about dental schools and students who become dentists perhaps not being prepared, fully educated as they need to be, especially with many dental implants. Is that a hurdle that you see in the industry? Has that been a hurdle for Sterngold?
No, it's been an opportunity because we can come forth and step forth and provide that education and create that relationship, build the trust, and then be the support arm going forward. So in our world, our products are considered technical in the sense that they have a protocol associated with using them. It's not just you pick up a box and you pull out an implant and there it is and you use it. There's a surgical protocol, then there's a prosthetic protocol, and it's like a recipe making a cake. You follow the recipe, you'll have a wonderful cake. You skip some steps, you may not have desirable results. So it's important for us to provide that education and that knowledge exchange because we want to make sure that our customers are successful and have predictable cases for those patients to have satisfaction.
Do you think that there's been a stigma about mini implants? And if so, what are your thoughts on the stigma?
Yeah, I think that there is a stigma. And what I would consider the way to remove the stigma is not around the implant or the efficacy of the implant. The stigma is around how that implant is used. So there is what we consider responsible dentistry. So years ago, go back 20 years, when mini implants started to become they were developed and they became popular. Prior to that, conventional implants were already being used. Conventional implants here in the United States were starting to be used in the late 70s and early 80s and continued all the way through. Mini implants came in sort of at the late 90s, early 2000s. And the idea for the mini is if a patient, it doesn't have a lot of bone, right? If they have been wearing dentures for a while, they don't have enough space to fit a conventional implant into the bone. So mini implants started to come into the scene so that we can provide that function, yet in a situation where a conventional implant would not be able to be used. Now, speed up ahead, the implants, conventionals and minis, have come together. They're not separated. It's really the right tool for the toolbox. So you bring everything together, minis and conventionals, and they work in concert. So what am I going to use, or what is the dentist going to use to best treat that particular patient? The stigma around mini implants is that mini implants, if we're looking at implant stabilization, mandibular, especially the lower overdenture stabilization, is exactly what a mini implant is used for. That is the bread and butter. You will have just as much success doing that treatment with conventionals. Where things start to unravel a little bit is when dentists choose to move away from the intended use of the mini implant. And dentists are free to do this. They have the DDS after the name. Mm-hmm. They have their doctors, and they're able to do this. This is not something that's necessarily bad, but they push the envelope of how this implant can be used. For example, torque values. So if you use a mini implant, let's say in a posterior on a crown, there are cases that are perfectly, wonderfully work well. But if you have a person who's maybe younger, a male, and likes to eat steak and has hard, forceful biting force.
I have those things, just not the youth. All right, go ahead.
The torquing on a posterior molar is going to be much higher. It's going to exceed the threshold of what that implant was designed to withstand. So that's why a conventional implant is a much better choice, because they're larger, they have more material, more titanium around them, and they can handle much more force. So I would say that the stigma around mini implants is primarily where the case planning was not desirable and ended up with an undesirable result.
Sounds like a good reason to have mini implant mentors around to guide dentists with, hey, where this works, where this doesn't work, what's a good idea, what's not a good idea. But along those lines, what should dentists look for their implant manufacturer? What should they be looking at? What questions should they be asking?
Yeah, that's a great question. First of all, you want to look for quality. You want to look for a company that has, a good reputation, has quality products, has the mechanisms in place to do quality control during their processes. We open up our facility to any visitors that want to come through. We manufacture, we do all the QA, we do the packaging, all under one roof here in the United States, in Massachusetts. And not every implant company can say that. In fact, there are many implant companies that don't even manufacture their own product. So they're acquiring the product from another company who's manufacturing. It could be what we call a job shop. It could be a company that's in all kinds of industries, not just medical. So at Sterngold, we are truly a manufacturer, and we have been for over 35 years. That's for implants. We've been manufacturing attachments well into our early days as a manufacturer. You also want to look at the other doctors that are using the implant system, a referral, if you will.
Sure.
So if you look at the clinical data that comes out, and we track all this data, we also track, we're scrutinized by the FDA. So we have to have a license. It's called a 510K license in order to sell our products. We have to get them approved by the the FDA. And we have to track the suitability of those products as they are continuing to be sold out into the marketplace. What do I mean by that? We have to track lot traceability so that if there's any undesirable event, we can do a field recall. And luckily, we've never had to do that. We also have complaint records. So if a customer they come in and they say, hey, the screw wasn't packaged properly, or something was not as we expect, all those types of customer feedbacks are tracked and then reported to the FDA. I'm happy to say that we have below 1% of complaint rates, which is very low for a company like us with over 6,000 finished good products.
I was going to say I'm no mathematician, but that seems an incredible rate of success for you. All right, a couple of questions about you that we'll close with. Pancakes or waffles? Everybody, we ask all our guests pancakes or waffles.
All right. I would say, I was going to answer and say it depends. But if I had my choice, I would go pancakes.
All right. Just plain or?
You gotta have some syrup.
All right. I chocolate chip pancakes would be my answer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's more like a dessert.
Well, for breakfast, sure. And final thing, in your professional journey, being a mini implant mentor, you're probably going to be influencing people in their careers.
Yeah.
How about 3 people who influenced you in your career?
Yeah, great question. I subscribe to the concept that no matter who you surround yourself with, you don't have a choice. You have a choice of the people, but you don't have a choice of how those people impart onto you. So the 5 to 7 people that you spend the most time with, you become part of them and they become part of you. So you have to pick those people wisely. So there's 3 people that I'd like to touch on that kind of steered me in from a professional standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them are in the industry, the medical device, dental industry, and 1 is outside. So the first one is Richard Oster. He was the CEO of a $5.5 billion conglomerate. Sterngold used to be a subsidiary within that company called Cookson. I learned a great deal from that man. He's passed on, but I learned a lot from business, about business, how to conduct business, especially the concept of not burning any bridges. Do the right thing, even if it's the hardest thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Then the 2 other people, one, when I ended up at Sterngold in the mid 90s, there was a gentleman, he was a senior technician. His name was Jim Ellison. He's since retired, but I'm still in touch with him. But I learned everything about dentistry from that man. He was a hands-on technician. He showed us everything. And really the way I learned was through osmosis, and trade shows. So you learn a great deal standing at a trade show booth with a technician, talking to other customers, and you just absorb that. The last person is Dr. Joe Masad. He's a dentist in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He is by far the number 1 denture fabricator and creating a pathway to create dentures that fit into any mouth like a custom pair of shoes. And he spent his entire career improving removables, dentures, how they fit, helping patients. And I learned a great deal from that man as well.
All right. 3 diverse people there, and great answers. And Gordon, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it.